Hello friends, this is Nirmal here for Technique, and in this video we're going to talk about two budget offering from Xiaomi, the Redmi 4 with the Redmi 4 Prime. So while the Redmi 4 was announced in India a couple of weeks back, the Redmi 4 Prime is not yet announced in India, but the Redmi 4 Prime is a cut down variant of the Redmi Note 4 with a smaller display, and rest all remains the same. So in this video we're going to talk about these two devices and do a comparison of the Redmi 4 and the Redmi 4 Prime. So without any further delay, let's get started. So first step, let's have a look at the design and build quality. Now in terms of design aspect, both these devices are made of metal unibody construction, with the Redmi 4 Prime having a slightly more chamfered edges and looks slightly more premium than the Redmi 4. But having said that, both are kind of evolved design when compared to the Redmi Note 4. So it looks quite good in terms of the build quality, fit and finish, and feels really nice. And we would say our choice would be the Redmi 4 to hold because of the curved edges and feels slightly better in hands. On the other hand, the Redmi 4 Prime also is a really good device in terms of the build quality, fit and finish, and looks really good. You can see the chamfered edges adds to the beauty of the device and gives a really premium feel. Now talking about the other aspect, you can see the power and volume keys on the right side on both the phones. The bottom houses the micro USB charging slot, the speaker unit, and the top panel has this IR blaster and the 3.5mm audio jack, and on the left side we have the SIM tray on both the phones. Now the rear panel on both these devices are quite similar, only the camera placement is different. You can see the Redmi 4 Prime has looks very similar to the Redmi Note 4, while this is similar to the Redmi 4A. Now both have fingerprint scanners and 13 megapixel camera. We have a dual LED flash on the Redmi 4 Prime. It's a single LED flash on the Redmi 4. So that's the design and build quality. So we would say both these devices are quite good in terms of the build quality and design aspect. Now let's talk about the display. So we have a HD display, that's a 720p display on the Redmi 4, while it's a full HD 1080p resolution display on the Redmi 4 Prime. Now both the devices have 2.5D curved glass on their displays, and you can see the viewing angles are much better on the Redmi 4 Prime because it is a full HD display and looks really vibrant. And here again you can see that the Redmi 4 has a slight yellowish tint to the display, but on the Redmi 4 Prime the display quality is really superior, and the full HD panel definitely gives much better experience than the Redmi 4. So the display aspect is definitely better on the Redmi 4 Prime because it is a full HD panel. That's the display aspect. Now let's talk about the software. So here we don't have anything much to talk because both these devices are exactly the same in terms of software and features being offered. Both come with Android 6.0 and MIUI 8. So nothing much to talk. Both are equally good in terms of the software experience. Now let's talk about the performance aspect. So this is one area where these two devices differ. Here we have a Snapdragon 435 octa-core chipset on the Redmi 4, while it's a Snapdragon 625 octa-core chipset on the Redmi 4 Prime. Now we have both the variants having 3GB RAM and 32GB storage, so there's no major difference. Now in terms of the performance aspect, we would say both these devices are really good in terms of the performance, but definitely the Snapdragon 625 has an edge in terms of the gaming experience. That's one area where the Redmi 4 Prime has an edge. It comes with slightly better gaming experience when compared to the Redmi 4. In day-to-day experience, we would say both these devices are equally good in terms of the performance aspect, and both come with 3GB RAM and 32GB storage. Both have dual SIM card, SD card support. It's a hybrid SIM card, and there is VoLTE on both the phones. Now let's talk about the camera. So we have a 13 megapixel shooter on both the phones. It's on the rear panel. We have dual LED flash on the Redmi 4 Prime, while it's a single LED flash on the Redmi 4. Now talking about the front facing camera, we have a 5 megapixel shooter on both the phones. Now talking about the camera interface, again both are exactly the same interface, nothing's changed here, and look quite good in terms of the features being offered. Now there is one difference here. It's an f-stop 2.0 aperture on the Redmi 4, while it's f-stop 2.2 on the Redmi 4 Prime, because the Redmi 4 is a slightly newer variant when compared to the Redmi 4 Prime. Now let's talk about the camera samples which we have taken with these two devices. You can see that in daylight conditions, the color quality and sharpness level so slightly on the higher side on the Redmi 4 Prime when compared to the Redmi 4. The Redmi 4 is also really good camera in this price segment. The Redmi 4 has slightly better sharpness levels and overall color quality. and you could see even in conditions where the light was lesser, the Redmi 4 Prime was slightly better and overall produced slightly better results than the Redmi 4. The Redmi 4 definitely is a good camera in this price segment, and we already done a detailed camera review of the device. Now let's talk about the front facing camera. Here we could see that the Redmi 4 has slightly better selfie experience and color qualities in the selfies when compared to the Redmi 4 Prime. So that was the camera aspect. Now let's talk about the battery. So we have a 4100 mAh battery on both the devices. They are sealed non-removable batteries. Here we have Snapdragon 435 HD display and Snapdragon 625 Full HD display. So both these devices provide really great experience, but we would say battery performance on the Redmi 4 Prime was slightly on the higher side because of the efficient Snapdragon 625, but not much of a margin in terms of the battery performance, but there is definitely a slight improvement when it comes to the Snapdragon 625, and you can easily get to 1.5 days or 2 days of battery life with around 6 to 7 hours of screen on time. So that is the battery aspect. So we have compared almost all aspects of these two phones. So which is the better device to buy? Obviously the choice would be the Redmi 4 Prime because it's better in terms of the hardware. But having said that, the Redmi 4 is again a really good device in this price segment. The Redmi 4 Prime is exactly as that of the Redmi Note 4 in India, the 10999 variant with 3GB RAM and 32GB storage. So that's the exact specs of the Redmi 4 Prime, except for the display. It's a smaller display, while the Redmi 4 is priced lower in India, and this offers great value for money. So that was a detailed comparison of these two phones. It's a quick comparison to identify what are the differences between these two devices. So that's all guys. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in our next video. Have a great day.